Today we're going to look at the basics of Microsoft Word 2010. And in this tutorial we're going to create a poster about the city of Chicago. Now if I look at Microsoft Word, by default I've got 1-inch margins all the way around. But since I'm talking about a poster here, I want to decrease that margin a little bit. The way we can change the margins is go to Page Layout and then choose Margins. And I can see I've got a wide range of options here. I'll put this at narrow, 0.5 all the way around. But if I wanted to change something to say 0.2 all the way around, which isn't listed here, I would click on Custom Margins. Then I can adjust the margins. But I'm going to just go 0.5 narrow. And now I can say I've got more margins to work with. Next thing I want to do is I want to create a heading for the city of Chicago. So we'll go City of Chicago. And for my heading, I want to make the font large. I want to center it and make it more just fancy since I'm making a poster. So to center my font, I can highlight the font that I want to center, and then I can click on the center line button. I could do the exact same thing if I wanted to right align, but center align is what we're going to do. Let's make the font 48 point, and we'll make the font itself, let's go Earwig Factory. That sort of looks like a design font right there. I don't want Earwig Factory for the rest of it though, so we'll go back down to Arial and 12. Now for the city of Chicago, I want to type in a quick paragraph about the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago is next to Lake Michigan. It is the home of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, Sox, and Blackhawks. In the summer, it is very warm, and in the winter, it can get to be very cold. We are getting into the warmer part of the year. So I got a quick little paragraph we typed out there. If I wanted to double space this paragraph or change the spacing, I can highlight the text and then go to my paragraph and choose line and paragraph spacing. And I can choose it so that it's a regular spacing, which is 1.0. I can put 1.5, or I could double space, which is 2.0. Or if I wanted additional space, I can do line spacing options, which then allows me to type in how much space I want. So we'll go double space with this. Next thing, since we're making this as a poster, let's add a page border to this. A page border is different from a paragraph border in that the page border goes around the entire page. And we can find the page border on the page layout area. So page border is what we would click on, and then I'm given the different types of border options. For this, I'd like to make a box that goes all the way around the whole document. Let's make it 4.5 point. And since it's the city of Chicago, let's go red for Bulls season. And choose OK. I've got this nice page border going around my page now. I'd also like to add a little bit of clip art or picture since we're talking about the city of Chicago. And we can do that under Insert Picture or Insert Clip Art. Now, if I had pictures I took with a digital camera, say when I visited Chicago, I would go to Insert Picture. But since I don't, I'm just going to go to Clip Art, and I'm going to choose Chicago is what I'm going to search for. See if anything comes up for Chicago. Yeah, we got the Chicago skyline. So let's insert Chicago right there. And do we have Chicago Bulls? I don't know if that'll show up in here. Yeah, no Chicago Bulls. We'll just have the city of Chicago. And I can move this picture wherever I want. However, you can see there's one issue if the picture ends up inside the text. And I get all this extra white space. That's because the picture is treated as text. I need to change the layout of this picture. And the way you can do that is under the Wrap Text option. You notice that when I've got the picture selected, I've got this Picture Tools formatting option that appears. And one of the options is Wrap Text. When it's in line with text, the picture is treated as a font, and you can see all this white space around the picture. Let's put it so that this is square with the text. I can then resize the picture by clicking on the sides and then moving the picture off to the side. Make it a little bit smaller there. And now that picture fits really nicely next to the text. So my poster of the city of Chicago is coming along pretty well. Next thing I'd like to do is add a quick table that talks about the average temperatures in Chicago. So I'll do one for each month and do an average high and average low. So for that, we're going to choose Insert Table. And I want to choose a custom table. If I wanted to have any size cells there, I can see it sort of appearing down there. But let's say I wanted a 3 by 13. And that's what I'm going to want because I'm going to have the headings and then the 12 months. So I'm going to choose Insert Table. And if I do that, I can choose the number of columns and rows. Number of columns are the groupings of cells vertically, and the rows are the grouping of cells horizontally. So I want 3 columns and 13 rows. And our column, we can do it automatically. There's my nice table that I've got here. So the first column will be the month, then we'll go average high and average low. For January, the average high is 31, average low is 16. For February, the average high is 36, and the average low is 21. For March, average high is 47, average low is 31. April, average high is 59, average low is 40. May, the average high is 71, and the average low is 51. In June, the average high is 81 and the low is 61. And you can see the rest of the pattern that I've got here. 85 and 66. August is 82 and 65. September 75 and 57. October 63 and 45. November is 48 and 34. And December would be 36 and 22. Now, if for some reason I didn't put enough cells in, I can always go to the last cell and hit Tab, and it'll add an additional row in. So I can always just head to the end and just keep tabbing to extend the table along. Now, if I look at that table, I really don't like the size of this because it's taking up the whole width of the page. I want to resize the columns. And the way I can resize the columns is by clicking on the column when I've got the double arrow. You can see when I'm just in the cell, I've got this eye-shaped cursor, but when I click on the actual column, it turns into a double arrow. And then I can click and drag how large I want the column to be. So I can move the column over for each of these just so it's the size of average high and average low. And if I want to know the size, you see my toolbar that appears up here, my ruler. When I just click, I see the page layout, but if I hold the Alt key down, I will see the actual width that I'm working with. So if I want to make them both 1.16, I can be very exact by looking at that. Next thing I'd like to do is I want to center the table, and the way I can center the table on the page is by clicking on this little 4-arrowed cursor in the upper left-hand corner of the table, so the entire table is selected. Then I can apply the properties that I have in the toolbar. So if I want to click center, I can center it. If I wanted to change the font so that it's smaller, I can do that. If I want to make my spacing single space, I can do that. And if I wanted to center this data, I can highlight those cells and click on the center button. The last piece that I'd like to do with this table is make my headings look a little different. I want to bold and shade those. So just as I can do at any point in here, if I want to change a property of a font, I would highlight the font and then choose the property in the toolbar up here. Since I want this bold, I will make it bold. And I want to make the background here be gray just to make the headings a little bit more clear. And the way I can do that is by choosing the fill color with the cells selected that I want. If I don't select the cells, you can see I'll only get that single cell selected that the cursor is in when I do the fill. So I want to actually click and drag and highlight all the cells that I would like to apply that to. that's everything that I wanted to cover for the basics of Microsoft Word. Final thing, in terms of saving work, we can click on the Save button that's in the upper left-hand corner, or we can click on the File and then choose Save. Click on Save, and this default cityofchicago.docx is good. But if I were sending this to an older computer with Word 2003 on it, I'd want to choose Word 2003 document, the 97-2003 document. But City of Chicago will work. I can click Save, and I've got everything that I wanted for this little poster on the City of Chicago.